Metal Gear Solid. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be reacting to one of the early uploads from the YouTube channel, the game Theorists. This video came out in the year 2017, so I think it's around 4 years ago. And it's about Metal Gear Solid. So yeah, I hope that you like it. Yeah, let's start. Hey, by the way, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. Oh. Not sure if you understand the reference because it's like, how do you hide from an enemy? Hide inside a box. Well, you know, early game mechanics, so.
Hello Internet, welcome to Theory, the show.
It's like, hello everyone, welcome to Theory. Hello.
Whose episodes are almost as long as that Metal Gear Solid 3 ladder climb.
Yep, still climbing. Still climbing.
Okay, we'll check back in with Snake a little later. Good luck there, buddy. Now, it's been a while since I last mentioned it on the channel, but it bears repeating, Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and in my opinion is one of the best games ever created. In a series that fluctuates a bit in quality,
we've managed to avoid drowning. Good job.
And sometimes gets a little too far up its own butt.
Lolly lule low. Lolly lule low. Lolly lule low.
Snake Eater found the perfect balance of deep narrative and tight gameplay, all while keeping an attention to detail that was unheard of for games at the time. I mean, sure, we all praise GTA 5 for its level of depth in recreating the entirety of Los Angeles, but in MGS3, almost a decade earlier, you can kill a guard, hunt and eat the vulture that ends up eating that guard, then in the River of the Dead later in the game, trigger a ghost of the guard who says, "You ate me." The game...
Wow. My goodness, that's a lot of details. Wow, the game developers must be amazing, isn't it? Huh.
Basically says yes to everything. You can spin around the camera in the torture room to make yourself vomit, thus allowing you an excuse to escape. When you're
Wow, my gosh, what? That level, that game design is really awesome, man.
captured and imprisoned, you can throw out your food, and if you do it 3 times, it actually prompts a significant cutscene that 99.9% of players will never know about, where Snake and the guard talk about the Cold War and how they regret having to fight each other. And that's only a few of the hundreds of little details hidden throughout this game. So of course you can bet that there are going to be some unsolved mysteries here. And there's one in particular that's been kicking around the internet for a decade that's never been fully explored. That the game is just that. A game. A simulation. That you're not actually playing as Naked Snake going through his Virtuous mission back in 1964, but rather you're someone else playing through a recreation of the mission at a later date. Sounds impossible? Sounds too meta? Well, then you don't know Metal Gear.
Raiden, Turn the game console off right now.
You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV.
So while Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding continues to leave us all in the dark, now is the perfect time to revisit his crowning masterpiece, to prove that one of the best games ever created is really just a game within a game. If you're not familiar with MGS3 or just need a quick refresher, I don't blame you, these games are complicated. So let me give you the essential information on what you need to know for today's theory. Snake Eater is supposedly set in 1964, smack dab in the middle of the Cold War between the US and Russia.
Okay, so what I understand is that you are saying that this is something like a virtual reality, something like that. So we are playing a game in which Solid Snake have been through the missions, right? Huh. Very interesting.
It's the story of Naked Snake, voted most likely to succeed in his top-secret CIA unit Force Operations X, or FOX for short. Things start to go downhill when Naked Snake gets sent to Russia with his mentor, the Boss, whose combat attire is so ridiculous not even I can come up with a theory as to how it's tactically advantageous. It's distracting, I guess. Anyway, the team is there to recover half of a fancy treasure map called the Philosopher's Legacy, in what the CIA name Operation
Virtuous Mission.
Virtual mission.
Whoa, hey, you're getting ahead of me, Snake. Halfway through the
Virtuous mission. Virtual
mission,
mission.
the Boss pulls a Benedict Arnold and defects to the Russian side. Awkward! Naked Snake gets stuck in the middle with the heart-wrenching task of hunting down and killing his former mentor, which already sucks, but it gets even worse when he learns that she actually never betrayed her country and that the US government has been giving her secret orders the entire time.
So what are you, a triple agent?
So basically, the Boss is like the best soldier ever, but ends up dying and being labeled as a traitor to her country because of the nature of this secret mission. And Naked Snake had to be the one to pull the trigger. Oh, that's even more awkward. Obviously, this gets Naked Snake to reevaluate his life decisions, taking on the name Big Boss. As well as the legendary soldier, the legendary mercenary. Hey, I said he was a good soldier, I never said that he was humble. So that's the long and short of the game. But why would anyone assume that you're not actually playing the role of Naked Snake and are instead playing the role of someone going through a virtual simulation of themselves playing as Naked Snake? Well, because Snake tells us in the opening seconds of the game. Here's Naked Snake getting his mission.
Head of the CIA has finally given us the green light for the virtuous mission.
Virtual mission.
No, the virtuous mission.
So it is not. So is that a mistake? Because he mentioned virtuous mission and virtual mission, virtuous mission. Huh. Am I pronouncing it?
Right away, Snake is referencing straight up the idea of a virtual mission. It's an odd detail to intentionally leave in the script if it has no bearing on reality, especially since it's one of the first spoken lines you hear from Snake. Now, alone, it would be no big deal. Just an odd hiccup in the scripting, a strange creative choice. But it's not alone. In fact, it's far from the only clue that this game is more than what it appears. Metal Gear Solid 3, being the first game chronologically in the Metal Gear Solid lore, gives players our earliest look at characters who will become important throughout the rest of the franchise. And perhaps no one is more important than Revolver Ocelot, here appearing as a young major eager to show off his gun twirling. Don't worry if you don't know who Ocelot is, you don't need to know the specifics for this theory. Suffice it to say, he goes on to appear in every other main series title. He's kind of a big deal in the MGS universe, but if you happen to kill him during one of your battles against him in the game, out of the blue, you get a game over. A game over! Why would killing an enemy in a video game ever prompt a reset? Well, let the game over screen sit for a bit and the letters rearrange themselves to say time paradox. Suddenly a voice yells out at you saying,
What have you done?
Those two lines are essential because it implies that someone literally knows the future, that they understand what Ocelot is destined to become in this series and scolds you for breaking that continuity. That alone would be a weird design choice, but making it even more solidly in the it's all a simulation camp is the fact that the voice saying all this is Colonel Roy Campbell, a character, mind you, who isn't even in Metal Gear Solid 3. I mean, he appears in other games that happened later in the Metal Gear timeline, so what's he doing here in 1964?
Oh, so technically speaking, he's like the GM, Game Master, for information.
nothing. He's not actually there in 1964. None of this is. None of what you're playing on screen. The only way this time paradox makes any sort of sense is if the game is a virtual mission, where a soldier in training is learning by playing through Naked Snake's earliest assignment. Roy Campbell is there because he's supervising the training and making sure the recruit is staying in line with the events as they actually happen. It's a
supervisor. Supervisor. We can also say game master.
a lot like Assassin's Creed, actually, where you play through the memories of someone else from an earlier time period, but if you step too far outside of the real events that happened, you get a game over. Okay, but any you died screen in a game breaks the game world, so why is this one so special? Also, this theory has been around for a while, so what new information do you have, MathPat? Well, there's one thing I haven't mentioned yet that absolutely proves that Metal Gear Solid 3 is a simulation, and it's coming right from the snake's mouth. Or should I say right into the snake's mouth. Calorie Mate. Calorie Mate is a consumable item in Metal Gear Solid 3 that restores all of your stamina. In real life, Calorie Mate is a nutritional energy bar found in Japan that dates all the way back to 1983. These items simply did not exist at all in 1964 when the Virtuous mission was taking place, which means that the Calorie Mate had to have been inserted somehow from the future. And if it's all a simulation, that's just as simple as a programmer not removing the item from the game world. Either that, or it's just a chronological mistake on the part of the game, but again, this is a game with meticulous attention to detail. It would be weird for something this egregious to slip in. Or should I say, three things this egregious to slip in, because the Calorie Mate isn't the only item from the early 1980s to slip in. In a radio transmission about the boss's history, we learned that she trained at the JFK Special Operations Center in 1957. There are two major issues with that. First, in both real life and in the game's own continuity, John F. Kennedy doesn't become president until 1961. And two, that facility was built in honor of his presidency and wasn't built until 1982. So this is another case of something that simply didn't exist in 1964 and wasn't even close to existing being inserted into the game. By simply mentioning this building, it means that the speaker of the line is coming from a time past its inception, probably in the early 1980s, definitely well past the time of Operation Snake Eater. And lastly, there's another conversation with your ally Major Zero that adds even more evidence that none of this is actually happening in 1964. Zero happens to be a big fan of James Bond and is astonished when Snake doesn't share his enthusiasm for the flashy super spy with cool guns and gadgets.
Snake, wouldn't you like to have a gun shaped like a pen?
They cite it as
From Russia with Love.
a James Bond film from 1963, which would work with the timeline presented in the game, except the pen gun doesn't appear in that movie, or the novel it's based on. There's a book gun and a phone gun that only appear in the novel, but the pen gun doesn't appear until the movie Never Say Never Again, a James Bond film that came out in 1983.
Oh, so with all this intact, right? With all the evidence, technically speaking, it's not necessarily that it's happening. It already happened. It's not occurring. It already occurred. And we are just the players for the game, playing this game. Huh. Wow.
Positively shocking.
Now, if you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that all of these anachronisms share one thing in common. They all center around the years 1982 and 1983, and I don't think that's a mistake. Again, Hideo Kojima doesn't take these sorts of things lightly, and the early 80s was a crucial point in the timeline for the Metal Gear story, because it's here that we see the creation of a second big boss. Let me explain by fast-forwarding to Metal Gear Solid 5. Sorry, Metal Gear Solid V. They changed it to Roman numerals now because it's classy. In this game, we learned that Naked Snake, now operating as Big Boss, has a target on his back and almost dies in a helicopter crash. A crash that results in him falling into a 9-year coma. While he's comatose, Major Zero, yeah, the same one who loves James Bond, takes another victim from that crash, a medic, and alters him to look, think, and act like Big Boss so that he can serve as a body double both physically and mentally. This body double gets the code name Venom Snake. So just to clarify, because obviously this gets confusing, Naked Snake from MGS3 becomes Big Boss. He's the original. Then in MGS-V, we learn about the creation of Venom Snake, a medic caught in a helicopter crash who's remade into a clone of Big Boss without him knowing. When Venom wakes up from his coma, he not only believes he's Big Boss, he's equipped with all the skills and memories of Big Boss. But how?
But how did he equip with all the memories and skills and abilities? Unless the game he played through is.
We don't really know. The game explains it as Venom undergoing training while he's in a coma, and that's all we get. Somehow, Major Zero had to train a comatose man how to be Big Boss in every single way. And what better way could there be than by having him virtually relive Big Boss's most defining mission, i.e. the events of Snake Eater. After all, it was the virtuous mission and Operation Snake Eater when Big Boss got to really develop his close quarters combat or CQC skills, an advanced fighting technique developed by the boss and Naked Snake together.
Not sure if you know, CQC means close quarter combat, so yeah, CQC.
Learn throughout the franchise that these techniques are considered very difficult to learn, and other characters in the Metal Gear universe have undergone extensive training to master them, which means that any replacement for Big Boss is gonna have to undergo some very specific and very intense training to fight like he does. And for a medic to just wake up from a coma one day and inherently know them seems impossible, unless that medic learned by going through all of Big Boss's own experiences. Plus, the Metal Gear series has an established history of using virtual missions to train agents trying to be Big Boss. Raiden, protagonist of Metal Gear Solid 2, went through hundreds of VR simulations of Solid Snake's missions to prepare for his eventual role as ruiner of the series. But here's where it all comes full circle. Venom Snake wakes up from his coma and assumes the role of Big Boss in the year 1984, the year after Calorie Mate and Never Say Never Again, and 2 years after the JFK Center was finished being built, which means that all of those anachronisms in MGS3 would make sense in the timeline we're creating. Thus, we have two stories that complete each other. The oddities and anachronisms of MGS3 are explained away because it's just a virtual mission taking place in the 1980s as a comatose medic is trained into the identity of the Big Boss, in the process filling one huge plot hole from MGS-V. But hey, that's just... Oh, wait a minute, I almost forgot. Hey Snake, how you doing with that ladder?
Yeah! He finished climbing! Yeah! Anyways.
So our episodes are longer than the ladder climb. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Snake! Snake!
Snake! Snake! Box. Just moving the box. So not sure if you understand the reference, right? So not sure if you understand the reference. In a game, right, if you hide in a box, Snake will not be found out by the other NPCs. So yeah. It's a very funny mechanic, so yeah. Doesn't really work in real life actually. Having said that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you like this video as much as I did. This video came out in the YouTube channel, The Game Theorists. Their videos are awesome and I hope that you will watch more of their videos. Their videos are just interesting to watch. And yeah, if you do like my videos, please consider to like, share and subscribe to my channel. And also comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Oh, also. And also, one more thing is because, yeah, follow my channel. I always forget that. Follow my channel. So, I will see you next time. Yes. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Solid Snake. Then there's Venom Snake, and then there's all this snake, and then so many different characters.